Have you ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels? Working harder and harder, but not actually getting anywhere that feels meaningful? Well, today we're going to break down a really powerful framework from investor Graham Weaver about how to stop playing an unwinnable game and start designing a life that's not just about success, but about feeling truly fulfilled. So, where does this all start? Not at some high point, not with a big win. It starts at rock bottom. For Graham Weaver, this was October of 2008. The entire financial world was in a free fall, and his own world, well, it was about to get turned completely upside down. I mean, can you imagine the pressure? His brand new private equity fund was on the verge of total collapse. His biggest investor had just called to pull out, basically telling him everyone else was going to follow. And on top of all that, he had a 2-week-old baby girl at home who was completely depending on a dad who felt like he was failing at, well, everything. So during one of those sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, Weaver had this huge aha moment that changed his entire life. It led him to a 4-step framework for designing what he calls a winnable game. So we're going to look at what it means to play an unwinnable game, and then we'll walk through his 4 steps: choosing your goal, designing your game, picking your people, and, this is a big one, why the time to start is right now. Okay, so this brings us to the core realization. Lying awake that night, spreadsheets glowing in the dark, Weaver realized he'd been asking himself the completely wrong question for his entire career. And look, the shift he made seems so simple, but it was absolutely profound. For 14 years, his whole focus was just grind harder, work faster, be stronger. But it just wasn't working. The new question wasn't about how to win. It was about what game he was even playing. And deep down, in his gut, he knew he was playing the wrong one. So he came up with this definition of a winnable game. And it's not just about crossing a finish line first. It's got 3 parts. 1, it's a game you can actually win. 2, it's a game you want to win, one you're excited to play. And 3, the act of playing the game itself helps you become the person you ultimately want to be. This is that sweet spot where what the world calls success and what you call fulfillment are finally on the same team. Okay, so how do you find this winnable game? It all starts with step 1. You have to choose a goal that truly moves you, something that, in Weaver's words, stirs your blood. This quote from the architect Daniel Burnham just nails it. Little plans, safe goals, the moderate path, they just don't have the juice to get you through the tough times, let alone get you jumping out of bed in the morning. The first blood you've got to stir is your own. Just look at the difference here. His fund's original mission statement was a mouthful of corporate jargon that basically just means try not to lose money. Now, compare that to a goal he set for himself in college as a walk-on rower. I am an Olympian. Which one of those makes you want to get up at 4 a.m. and train? See, the aspirational goal isn't just an objective. It becomes part of your identity. So this is the big question Weaver wants you to ask yourself to get to that aspirational goal. Seriously, think about it. In every part of your life, if failure was completely impossible, what huge, exciting, maybe even terrifying thing would you go after? The answer is probably pointing you right toward your winnable game. And here's the part that sounds kind of backwards, but it's crucial. Weaver argues that you actually have a higher chance of achieving a massive aspirational goal than a small, safe one. Why? Because a huge goal forces you to change. It shifts who you are. It attracts different people, different resources. It makes you more creative and resilient. And most importantly, you'll stick with it way, way longer than you ever would with a boring goal you don't really care about. Playing it safe is actually the biggest risk of all. Okay, so once you've got that huge goal, it's time for step 2. You've got to design your own game to get there. Because that crowded, well-lit path everyone else is on, that's almost never where you're going to find your unique advantage. To find your unique game, you have to start asking different kinds of questions. Instead of just following the so-called rules, ask, what do my customers absolutely hate? That's where you find the real pain points. Ask, what are my competitors totally unwilling to do? That's where you find your opening. Ask, what problem in the world just breaks my heart? That's where you connect your work to your values. And maybe the most powerful one, what are my bright spots? What's already working even in a tiny way that I can pour gasoline on? These questions help you carve out your own path. And when you do this work, you start to find what he calls your edge. It's that perfect overlap, right? It's the intersection of a problem the world really needs solved and something that you personally love doing, something that gives you energy. This isn't just some business strategy. Weaver says this is how you find your purpose. This leads us to step 3. And man, this one might be the most important of them all. You can have the perfect goal and the perfect game plan, but if you're playing with the wrong people, you are going to lose, period. Weaver tells these two stories that just paint such a clear picture. Early in his career, he had a boss, Larry, who'd call him on a Saturday night and bark orders like, make that line thicker. Later, that same boss basically punished him for wanting to have dinner with his mom, who was visiting from out of town. Years later, a totally different story. Weaver nervously told his partner, Billy, that he wanted to go to his son's little preschool event. Without even a second of hesitation, Billy said, "That's awesome. I'll take your meetings. Send pictures." And here's the takeaway, and it's a big one. Weaver realized that if he had stayed working for Larry, he would have become Larry. The people you surround yourself with aren't just your friends or your coworkers. They are literally shaping your values, your goals, and your identity. You have to choose them so carefully. All right, that brings us to the final urgent step. You've got the goal, you've designed the game, you've picked your people, but there is one last trap, and it gets almost everybody. Weaver says there are two words he hears from his students all the time, and he thinks they might just be the most dangerous words in the English language when it comes to living a life you love. Not now. Oh, I'll do that when I pay off my student loans, when I get that promotion, when the kids are a little older. But here's the thing, when never actually arrives. The life you think you're just getting through, the one you think is the warm-up act, that is your life. It's happening right now. This is the key. Winnable games aren't some treasure you just stumble upon one day. They are things you actively create. You design them. And you can't be an architect standing on the sidelines. You have to be in the game right now to start building. So let's just recap the whole framework real quick. Number 1, find a huge aspirational goal that really excites you. Number 2, stop following the crowd and design your own unique game. Number 3, surround yourself with people who lift you up and share your values. And number 4, start playing that game today. Not tomorrow, not when, now. You know, we think of passion as this thing you have to find, like it's hiding under a rock somewhere. But that's not it at all. Passion is something you build. You build it by being fully engaged and passionate about the life you have right in front of you, whatever it looks like. That's where you find all the pieces to design your winnable game. So, we'll leave you with the same powerful question Weaver asks his students. After all this, from finding that Olympian goal to choosing your team, just remember, you are ready. You are enough. The game is already happening. So, what game will you play?